Aria quietly rose from Nathaniel's side as he drifted into sleep, heading back to the kitchen to tidy up and brew some coffee for herself. Returning to Nathaniel's safe haven, she monitored his vitals, ensuring he was responding well to treatment. At midnight, Dr. Williams and his medical team came around, wearing safety gear despite the fact that they would still pass through the decontamination chamber, all in a bid to minimize any risk of contamination. Dr. Williams exchanged a knowing smile with Aria as he noticed her still awake, watching over Nathaniel. She left the glass shield to give the doctor's room to thoroughly assess Nathaniel. After the evaluation, she watched as the medical team left the glass cubicle, and she stood up as they approached her. "I'm sure there's nothing we need to tell you that you don't already know," Dr. Williams remarked warmly, eliciting a sheepish smile from Aria. Today went smoothly. "Let's hope Nathaniel continues to progress so we can proceed with further procedures," Dr. Williams added optimistically, to which Aria nodded in agreement. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Dr. Everly," one of the young doctors addressed Aria, drawing chuckles from the senior doctors. "Dr. Everly, meet Dr. Araceli Rodriguez, our intern," Dr. Williams introduced. Aria offered a polite nod to the younger woman. "A pleasure," she replied with a smile. "Try to get some rest," Dr. Williams advised, though Aria knew sleep wouldn't come easy for her. The medical team bid her good night and made their way out. As they left, Aria overheard Dr. Rodriguez's playful remark about meeting Dr. Everly, the rock star of the medical world, and couldn't help but smile. Hours later, Aria went back inside the glass enclosure for another assessment. Then she spotted Dr. Williams entering through the decontamination chamber. She greeted him with a smile as he joined her. "I hope you don't mind the company," he said, to which Aria shook her head. Standing beside her, he inquired about Nathaniel's condition. Aria couldn't help but smirk self-deprecatingly. "Same as an hour ago when I last checked," she replied. Dr. Williams chuckled. "He's one lucky man," the older doctor remarked, his laughter echoing in the sterile room. Much later, Nathaniel woke up with the urgent need to throw up, his chest heaving as the sensation overwhelmed him. Too weak to do much, he turned his face aside, resigned to the inevitable. Then he felt gentle hands cradling his head, lifting him up as the bile came out of his mouth. And he blinked, his vision clearing as he retched into a small stainless bucket. "I've got you," Aria's soft, soothing voice washed over him, imbuing him with a sense of love and comfort. "Here," she added, pouring water into his mouth to help him rinse, and he spat the water into the bucket. Using a warm towel, she dabbed his lips, supporting him until the sensation passed before gently placing his head back on the pile of pillows. Breathing steadily, Nathaniel watched as she leaned over him with a warm smile and said, "Hey, big guy, that's quite a good morning, my love." Her voice filled with warmth and affection as she lowered her head to press a gentle kiss to his forehead. Nathaniel couldn't help but feel tears pooling behind his eyelids. "You didn't sleep a wink, did you?" he said, his voice low and gruff. "Geez, Mr. Hawthorne, I gotta tell ya, with the cash you handed me for this gig, sleep don't stand a chance," she quipped in her accented tone, eliciting laughter from him, his chest quivering with a cough. "Gosh, I love you," he muttered under his breath. But Aria didn't hear him. She had hurried away to dispose of the waste and returned carrying 2 small buckets in gloved hands. "I want to clean you up before they come for you," she said softly as she peeled off his coverings, folding towels to place below his waist before beginning to sponge bathe him with warm, soapy water. Taking great care with his skin, knowing he must be sensitive because of the radiation, Nathaniel observed how she meticulously cleaned him before assisting him in brushing his teeth. Afterward, she changed his hospital robe before offering him water to drink. Nathaniel noticed how frequently she had been encouraging him to drink water, understanding it was to help clear his system of toxins. He observed the urgency with which she performed each task with deft precision, and the reason became clear when the medical personnel began to enter the atrium, Andrew among them. Before they approached, Nathaniel spoke up. "Hey," causing Aria to pause and meet his gaze. "Thank you, babe," he rasped. Aria beamed at him. "Survive this for us, okay, my love?" she urged. Nathaniel nodded. "Good morning, boss." Andrew greeted Nathaniel with a smile as he entered the glass cubicle with the medical personnel. "How's it going?" Nathaniel rasped. "Fine, boss." Nothing to worry about. Our boys are delivering. Tom Hill forbade me from telling you anything until you're done with the treatment, though, Andrew informed him. Aria chuckled when Nathaniel shot the other man an arched eyebrow. He still looked fierce despite his ashen skin and frail appearance. Later, boss, Andrew conceded with a smile. Aria noticed Liam emerging from his sleeping bag and quickly excused herself. Nathaniel watched as she approached their son, but he could see she didn't get too close. Stay where you are, honey. Give me a minute, she said. Okay, Mommy, Liam replied in a sleepy tone. How's Daddy? He asked as his mom rushed away. Your daddy is great, look at him. But don't go there, okay? Aria replied, gesturing to the glass shield. Okay, Liam said, and seeing Nathaniel through the glass, he waved at him. Nathaniel's heart swelled with emotion. He smiled and managed to raise his hand up in response, drawing the attention of the doctors. You have a beautiful family, Mr. Hawthorne, one of the doctors commented. Nathaniel nodded. Thanks, he rasped. So are you ready for day 2, Nate? Dr. Williams said as he strode inside, clapping his hands together in excitement. No, Nathaniel replied, eliciting laughter from everyone. But I promised my wife that I would fight, so I must, he added. The laughter subsided and everyone stared at him with empathy. Let's do this then, Dr. Williams said, and Andrew stepped forward to lift Nathaniel. By the time Andrew carried Nathaniel out of the cubicle, Aria was already back with Liam. She lifted him and paused for Andrew to walk past them. Uncle Andrew, Liam called, waving. Hey, buddy. Trust you slept well, Andrew replied. Yeah, thanks for asking. And you? Liam responded in a cultured, polite tone. I did too, thank you, Andrew replied. Don't drop my daddy, you hear? Liam urged, making everyone laugh. I love my job, buddy. I wouldn't dream of it, Andrew replied in a laughing voice. Liam giggled. Nathaniel gave his son a thumbs up. Such a polite and adorable boy, Nathaniel heard one of the doctors murmuring. He locked gazes with Aria and winked. She beamed at him. Meanwhile, after Julia's photographer Sean informed her that his men turned up all battered and wounded, claiming to have dealt Tom Hill a fatal blow, Julia Davies wanted evidence. Since gaining access to Nathaniel was proving difficult, she decided to try a few tricks. She called Tom Hill's number, and upon seeing it was switched off, attempted to reach Andrew, Nathaniel's head of security. Knowing it would be useless to get information from him, she simply told him she would like to speak with Tom Hill about a rumor she heard and thought to warn him about. Andrew claimed not to have seen the older man for the past few hours. Well, this is rather strange, don't you think? Or is this something he often does, just leaving without prior notice? Julia probed. Mr. Hill has his life outside his work, just like everyone under the employment of Mr. Hawthorne, Miss Davies, Andrew replied. Julia rolled her eyes. She wasn't getting anything out of speaking with the man, just like she'd thought he'd clammed up like a bloody shellfish with 2 hinged shells. She decided to play dirty. Contacting a tabloid, she sent an anonymous message claiming Tom Hill, the longtime lawyer and family friend to the Hawthornes, was dead. She'd been tempted to let it slip that Nathaniel Hawthorne, the only heir to the Hawthorne dynasty, had cancer. But she knew Nathaniel would leave no stone unturned to find out who did it, and thought she couldn't risk it. Targeting Tom Hill was much easier. When that was done, she waited, knowing once the news got out, the board would call a meeting, and Tom Hill, like the guard dog he was, would be forced to show his face. Or rather, Nathaniel would be forced to show up and clear the air about Tom Hill. So then she would achieve 2 goals. She would get to see Nathaniel and get accurate information about Tom Hill's whereabouts. Smirking to herself, she muttered, It's time I reminded Nathaniel he needs me dearly. Satisfied with her plan, she chuckled with devilish relish. Hours later at Riverview, Tom Hill was lounging by the lakeside with Liam, Owen, Miss Everly, Anita and Andrew, when the loud ring of his phone drew his attention. Picking it up, he saw the caller was Bella. Fear so profound surged through him. Bella never calls him without first sending a warning text, and he was scared that something bad might have happened. He immediately answered. Hello, Bella, he said into the phone. Tom, oh my God, you're alive! Why the hell are they saying you died? Bella cried over the phone, making him frown bemused. Died? What are you saying? Tom Hill asked in a tense tone, his eyes automatically settling on Andrew, who gestured for him to get away from there, away from the children. Tom Hill excused himself and hurried away. Is everything okay? Anita asked. her voice filled with concern as both her and Miss Everly watched him hurrying past them. "Yes, everything is fine, just some confusion I need to sort out," Tom Hill quickly replied over his shoulder. Andrew followed him. When they were away from the children's hearing range, Tom Hill said into the phone, "Okay, Bella, slow down. Why don't you start by telling me where you got the idea that I was dead?" "It's on the news," Bella cried in reply. Tom Hill blanched. Another call came through, making a beeping sound that grated on his nerves. It was one of the board members of Hawthorne Conglomerate. Once that one stopped, another number started to flash at the top of his screen. Tom Hill growled. "That witch," he cursed, knowing the only person capable of doing something like that and having the information to do so was Julia Davies. He bet the vile woman was trying to provoke him into something. "Bella, honey, I'm fine, see? Switch the call to a video call so you can see my face." "Yes, honey, I was wounded, but obviously didn't die." Tom Hill soothed the frantic woman and then accepted her prompt to switch to a video call. He waved at her and showed her his left arm. "See, I was wounded, but still fine, honey, okay?" he said. She nodded, wiping off her tears with shaky hands. He smiled at her, noting that despite everything he'd done to her, she still got like this upon hearing about his demise. "Hey, Bella, how about we plan for you to come over here and see for yourself, huh?" Tom Hill heard himself say before he could stop himself. His hands shook at the bold move, but he'd already asked and couldn't take the words back. "Would you really want that?" Bella asked hesitantly. Tom Hill nodded. "I'm sure my employer wouldn't mind," he replied. She gave him a warm smile. "Okay, let's hope you don't change your mind," she teased. Tom Hill chuckled. "I won't let him," Andrew said from his side. Tom Hill tilted the phone screen so Bella could see Andrew. The other man waved and said, "Good day, Mum." "Bella, this is Andrew, Nathaniel Hawthorne's head of security and a friend. Andrew, meet Bella, my girlfriend and mother of my daughter," Tom Hill introduced, holding Bella's gaze. He could see her struggling with her emotions at his introduction. Then she replied, "A pleasure to make your acquaintance," her voice low and laden with emotion. "I will make the arrangements for you to be picked up, Bella," Tom Hill said. She nodded. "I'll be waiting, Tom," she replied. Tom nodded and waved before ending the call. "She's beautiful," Andrew remarked. Tom glared at him. "And taken," he stressed, making Andrew chuckle. "Don't worry, I have my sights elsewhere," Andrew remarked. "So I heard. And she is a looker," Tom Hill replied. "Yeah, old man," Andrew replied with a tough stare. Tom Hill chuckled and then let out a sigh. "I see Miss Davies is getting bolder," Andrew said. "I told you to expect her to make a move. I suspected it when she called me yesterday," Andrew added. "Don't tell Nathaniel," Tom Hill replied. "I don't know how you can keep this away from him." "The board would have questions," Andrew remarked. "Then you make the call to them and assure them of a meeting. Just make sure it isn't this week," Tom Hill said. "I don't think Dr. Williams would allow the boss to expose himself even after the surgery," Andrew replied. "No, but Nathaniel Hawthorne has a representative now," Tom Hill reminded him. Andrew smirked and nodded. "Indeed, I'll make the calls," Andrew said and walked away. Then he added over his shoulder, "Where are we picking up Miss Bella, Mr. Hill?" Tom Hill let out a sigh. "Buckhead in Atlanta, Georgia," he replied. The first day of chemo and full-body irradiation often marked the worst part of the procedure, with the patient enduring a tsunami of side effects the following day. Despite Aria's proactive management of these effects and her efforts to minimize discomfort, Nathaniel began to exhibit signs of weakness beyond the norm by the third day, despite positive treatment response in his charts. He ceased eating to the extent that Aria had to explore alternative methods to nourish him, ruling out the IV option. Concerned about Nathaniel's strength for the upcoming surgery, she sought solutions while feeling anxious and restless. Recalling a comforting remedy from her college days, Aria decided to prepare a corn pudding enriched with ground-dried proteins and a hint of lime, reminiscent of a meal shared with an African exchange student during a bout of illness. Meanwhile, Nathaniel lay in bed, feeling as helpless as a newborn. The looming fear of not surviving until the surgery haunted him, sensing his body weakening and strength dwindling. Even from where he lay on his bed, watching Aria cooking in the kitchenette with furrowed eyebrows, He could sense her worry. Swallowing softly, every movement causing him pain, he contemplated the necessity of speaking with Tom Hill about a will. A primal growl escaped his throat as he grappled with the agony of leaving his family behind, unwilling to imagine Aria with another man or his children without their father. Raw with anguish, tears streamed down his face. Minutes later, Aria entered the glass enclosure carrying a tray of food, placing it on the overbed table before wheeling it closer to Nathaniel. Her gaze fell upon him, noticing the irregular rise and fall of his chest before spotting the tears streaming down his face. Her heart constricted painfully at the telltale signs of his distress. Crossing to the other side of the bed, she climbed in beside him, gently pulling him against her chest. The two lay there in silence, with Aria holding him tightly, Nathaniel's body trembling as he cried quietly. The sight of his once strong and virile form, now weakened and frail, tore at her heart, knowing the agony he must be enduring. "I'm sorry," Nathaniel whispered hoarsely. "A few more hours. Just give me a few more hours, please. My love, a few more hours," Aria repeated softly, rocking him back and forth on the bed. "Don't leave me," she pleaded, her voice shaking with emotion. "I'm so sorry," Nathaniel rasped, causing Aria to shake with tears. "Don't do this to me." "I just got you back," she whispered. "I just got you back, Nathan." Nathaniel let out a sigh. "I can feel myself slipping away, honey. I feel so weak," he admitted tiredly. "I need to feed you. You haven't eaten all day, and with the treatment, I can only imagine how you must be feeling," Aria insisted. "Eating isn't helping." "I'll just throw up again," he countered. "Trust me, that's all I ask." "Trust me and don't give up," she pleaded. Nathaniel fell silent for a moment, then nodded, wanting to bring her some comfort, even though he knew nothing could save him now. Aria got up from the bed, adjusting the angle of his upper body to ensure his comfort. Then, holding a bowl in one hand and a spoon in the other, she met his gaze as she fed him the corn pudding. Nathaniel immediately detected the tangy taste of lime, which seemed to overpower the other flavors, but he found he could swallow it easily, and the lime helped to soothe his taste buds. "What is it?" Nathaniel rasped. "A recipe borrowed from an African roommate," Aria replied, her smile filled with affection. "You mean the college you attended before Harvard?" Nathaniel inquired. Aria nodded. "Remember, I took an anatomy course before Harvard at a community college back home. That's where I met Shade George. I remembered she often made this when she was ill with no appetite. I thought to borrow the idea. Do you like it?" Aria explained, her gaze filled with apprehension. Nathaniel nodded. "There's lemon in there?" he asked. Aria nodded. "It's helping," he added. Aria beamed with smiles. "I mixed it with ground-dried shrimps and diced strawberries," she said. Can I have more, please?" he requested. Aria nodded, unable to trust herself to speak. Later, after he had finished his meal, Aria removed the intravenous line Dr. Williams had used to deliver nutrients into Nathaniel's body and replaced it with a blood transfusion to replenish red blood cells and improve oxygen delivery to tissues, relieving his fatigue and weakness. Nathaniel observed her as she ensured the blood flowed smoothly through the thin tube and into his veins. She then gently massaged his arm, using the pad of her finger to trace his veins, stimulating the flow. Nathaniel let out a contented sigh. Soon, with the food and the blood transfusion, he felt slightly better and not as weak as before. With Aria's tender massages, he felt thoroughly pampered. "Tell me how you're feeling now," Aria asked, checking her watch and glancing at the blood bag, which was now halfway empty. "Spoiled," he rasped. Aria met his gaze, seeing his eyes locked on her. She smiled at him. "Good. You have no idea how much I love that answer," she replied, relieved to see his lips curve into a smile. I'm sorry about this morning," Nathaniel said, giving her a pleading gaze. That morning's session had been a nightmare. Following his chemo and full-body irradiation therapy, Nathaniel was engulfed by the most severe wave of side effects yet, causing spasms, profuse sweating, and incessant vomiting. He hadn't endured it quietly. He'd lashed out at every doctor, especially Williams, cursing them and demanding they end his suffering. When Aria attempted to approach him, he angrily ordered her to leave, fearing for her safety amidst the radiation and chemotherapy. "What the hell is your problem? You're a damn doctor, you should know better. Think about our boys, damn it," he had growled. "Nathan," she had said softly, trying to calm him, but he had cut her off sharply. "Get the hell out, Ariana." Nathaniel had been so agitated and tense that she knew she had to obey and return when he calmed down. As she stepped out and closed the door, she heard him ordering Williams to end his life. Andrew, Tom Hill, Anita, and Aria's aunt had to take Liam and Owen for a walk in the woods away from the house so they wouldn't hear their father's plea for merciful death. It had been heartbreaking, and even Aria had retreated to a corner to weep. "It doesn't matter. Forget about it. We all understand, my love," Aria reassured him. "Just hang in there, please," she added. Nathaniel nodded. "Where are the boys?" Nathaniel asked, his eyes scanning the room as he glanced past Aria towards the sleeping bags, then at the large wall clock hanging on the side wall. "They're with my aunt and Anita. We planned to extract the bone marrow in a few hours and thought they should enjoy some activities before the procedure," Aria replied, withholding the fact that part of the reason was also to shield them from witnessing his utter breakdown. "Shit," he cursed softly. "I really wish I could spare them the pain, Ariana," Nathaniel rasped. "They'll be asleep, Nathan. That's why we want to do it around 1 a.m., so they can sleep through the entire night and early morning while you undergo the chemo before the surgery," she explained. "But they'll hurt after they wake up, though?" he questioned, scrutinizing her closely. "I'll manage that with a pain reliever. Don't worry, they'll be fine," Aria reassured him. "Can I be there when you extract the bone marrow?" Nathaniel asked. "It's going to be done here. Dr. Williams has arranged operating beds to be brought inside for you and the boys." "This place is the most sterile space for the operation," she replied. He nodded and let out a sigh. Minutes before 1 a.m., Nathaniel watched as Miss Everly, Tom Hill, Anita, Andrew, and Charles passed through the decontamination chamber with the twins, all wearing surgical masks. Charles held Owen while Andrew carried Liam. Dr. Williams and his team came afterward. Nathaniel smiled, watching as the boys wriggled out of Andrew and Charles's arms, darting into the glass enclosure. "Easy," Andrew exclaimed, rushing after them to help them onto Nathaniel's bed. The twins lay on his chest, each stroking his face as they peered at him. "Daddy, Mommy said we're going to give you our bone marrow to make you feel better," Owen announced. "But she wouldn't let us watch," Liam interjected. "I told her we could take it, but you know, Mommy," Owen added. "Can you tell her to let us watch, Daddy?" Liam pleaded. "I don't think that's a good idea, son." "She just doesn't want you to be scared," Nathaniel replied softly, his heart swelling with emotion as he looked from one face to the other. Do you think it's because it's going to be painful?" Owen whispered. "We didn't cry when she took our blood the other day," Liam remarked. "Yes, Daddy, we didn't cry, but Mommy was skittish," Owen said, chuckling. Nathaniel beamed at them. "I'm so proud of you two. And you know Mommy is a doctor, so we have to trust her judgment," Nathaniel said in a conspiratorial whisper. Andrew chuckled. Although the twins' weight resting on him was a bit uncomfortable, Nathaniel didn't mind at all. He was just happy to have them close. "Oh my God, you're going to crush him to death," Aria exclaimed upon entering the glass enclosure. "Oops," the boys chorused, making Nathaniel chuckle. Charles and Andrew lifted the boys, holding them around the middle and making them act as if they were flying. The two boys burst into laughter, calling out for their dad's help. Nathaniel smiled as he watched them, grateful they were at least having some fun. Once the boys were taken out, the medical team entered and began setting up the operating bed. Nathaniel involuntarily glanced around nervously until his gaze settled on Aria, who smiled warmly at him and gave him a thumbs up. Nathaniel noticed she had changed into surgical scrubs, as had Anita. Tom Hill stood just outside the glass structure, his left arm still in a cast. Nathaniel met his gaze and watched as he gingerly raised his hand, pressing it against the glass pane. Nathaniel nodded in acknowledgement. Miss Everly assisted the twins with their nightly baths, but instead of wearing their pajamas, she and Anita helped them into hospital robes. Aria thanked her aunt before carrying Owen, while Anita carried Liam, and together they brought them into the glass enclosure, laying them down on the surgical beds. "Daddy, we're here with you now," Owen said, making Nathaniel chuckle. "We're going to keep you company," Liam added. "I appreciate that, sons," Nathaniel rasped in a softened tone. Seeing that the anesthesiologist was ready with the anesthesia masks for the boys, Aria stood between the two beds and said, "Okay, my knights, here goes." Mummy is here with Daddy, Aunt Anita, Big Mama, Grandpa Hill, Uncle Andrew, and Uncle Charles watching over you, along with the big guy upstairs, so you know you are safe." Her voice was soft and reassuring. "Be brave, okay?" The boys nodded and chorused, "Okay, Mummy." "Hey," Nathaniel called, drawing the boys' attention. "I love you two so much. Thank you for doing this for me," Nathaniel said. The boys nodded, smiling at him. "Mummy said we could have all the flavors of ice cream we want afterward," Liam replied, eliciting laughter from everyone. "And cake," Owen added. "She also said we could visit Buddy and Fluffy when we go back home," Owen said. "Okay, so the two of you talked your mummy into giving you bribes, huh?" Tom Hill chimed in. "Well done, boys. I'll make gentlemen of you yet," he added, making everyone laugh. Aria pressed a kiss to the boys' foreheads, murmuring, "I love you," before meeting the anesthesiologist's gaze and giving her the go-ahead. Anita stepped forward to help the lady place the mask on Owen and Liam. Nathaniel watched with bated breath as Aria asked the boys to count from 10 to 1. "Love you, Mummy and Daddy," Liam murmured before he fell asleep. Nathaniel's heart swelled with emotion. Dr. Williams and his medical team surrounded Aria and Anita as they positioned Owen sideways, exposing his pelvic region. Aria meticulously cleaned and sterilized the skin over the curved ridge at the top of his pelvic bone with an antiseptic solution. She then marked a specific extraction site. Dr. Williams handed a pediatric bone marrow aspiration needle to Aria, who deftly inserted it into Owen's skin, pushing through. Nathaniel felt his heart constrict as the needle pierced his son's skin. He wanted to look away but couldn't, needing to see to remind himself to stay strong. Once Aria confirmed that the needle was properly positioned, she used the syringe attached to withdraw a sample of bone marrow from the cavity. When the syringe was full, she detached it and attached another, repeating the procedure multiple times to collect an adequate amount of bone marrow. She passed each sample immediately to Dr. Williams, who collected it in sterile containers and promptly labeled them with the child's identifying information before sealing them. The procedure didn't take more than 10 minutes. Aria was fast, careful, and precise. After finishing with Owen, she cleaned the extraction site, ensuring no blood pooled in the punctured region, and covered it with a healing plaster. The anesthetic mask was removed, and Anita passed a pain relief injection, which Aria quickly administered to Owen. Anita then placed an ice bag over the extraction site. Aria checked Owen's vitals to ensure he was fine before moving on to Liam. Nathaniel watched her focus and professionalism, understanding why she was one of the best in her field, and was grateful she was handling the extraction. Before long, they were done. "Thank you, Dr. Everly Hawthorne," Dr. Williams said. Aria acknowledged him with a nod. "I think we can handle the next stage," he said excitedly and rushed out, followed immediately by the medical team. "That was the neatest, fastest extraction I have witnessed." "My God, she is good," Tom Hill heard one of the doctors say in awe as they hurried after Williams. Tom Hill let out a sigh of relief. It was the most intense experience he had ever witnessed. Aria and Anita went to clean up in the restroom. Aria avoided looking at herself in the mirror, trying not to dwell on inserting a needle into her baby's bodies. "You did great, Aria," Anita said, giving her a searching gaze. Aria attempted to smile at her friend, but was certain she didn't succeed, judging by the pitying glance the other woman gave her. Aria nodded in acknowledgement. "You know that can never be me." "I will be trembling and bawling my eyes out before it even begins," Anita quipped, trying to draw Aria out of the stony shell she'd always retreated into whenever she had to perform surgery. Her hands trembled as she took a calming breath. "Do you think that perhaps I took too much or dug too deep?" Aria heard herself say in a trembling voice, the usual aftermath of doubt creeping in hard, especially since her patients were her little babies. Anita gave her an incredulous gaze, her eyes widened in disbelief. "I don't get you. You're the best surgeon I know, yet you let imposter syndrome prey on you," Anita said, moving closer to hold Aria by her forearms. "Repeat after me. I am Dr. Aria Everly Hawthorne, the best freaking surgeon in the freaking globe," Anita urged. Aria couldn't help but giggle. "Come on," she started to protest, finding this quite childish. "Hey, I said repeat it," Anita scolded. "Fine, I am Dr. Everly Hawthorne," The best freaking surgeon in the entire globe, Aria repeated. You are such a buzzkill. You can't convince anyone with that defeated tone, Anita scolded. Aria repeated the ridiculous mantra in a laughing tone. Too much giggling, but it'll do. Now never forget it, Anita urged. Aria nodded as Anita pulled her into a hug. Thank you. You are the best, Aria muttered, needing the hug and assurance badly. Once back inside the glass enclosure, Aria picked up a clipboard to assess the boy's vitals, while Anita administered ice packs over the extraction area. What are they going to do with the samples, Dr. Hawthorne? Andrew asked as he returned inside, his voice muffled by the face mask. They're taking them to the mobile laboratory to isolate the stem cells and remove any unwanted components. Aria automatically responded, without looking away from checking her boy's vitals. That was something, Tom Hill said as he joined them. Please tell me that wouldn't hurt them in any way, he asked. Just slight discomfort, and they have to stay in bed for a bit, Aria replied, with a semblance of a smile, though turmoil churned inside her. She doubted she would ever get used to deliberately inflicting pain on her babies for any reason. Ariana, Nathaniel called, causing her to pause what she was doing to look in his direction. As unbelievable as it may seem, she'd momentarily forgotten he was there. Are you okay, my love? Nathaniel asked. Aria let out a shaky breath. His use of endearment, coupled with the warm, knowing gleam in his eyes, made the walls even Anita hadn't been able to pull down come shattering. Unable to lie to him, she shook her head. Come, he ordered, and as if on cue, Anita took the clipboard from her, allowing Aria to go and lay on Nathaniel's side, nestling against him. He pressed a kiss to her forehead, holding her as tightly as he could manage. You did great, they are fine, thank you, he said in a low, soft, soothing voice. With her eyes shut, Aria nodded, allowing him to take charge so she could momentarily release the facade of being a strong woman. Hours later, in a manner that had somewhat become routine, Andrew arrived with the medical team to retrieve Nathaniel after Aria had prepared him, taking him to the mobile radiation therapy unit. The boys had slept throughout the night under their mother's watchful eyes. By the time they woke up, Aria was right there by their sides with Anita and Aria's aunt. Mummy, this place hurts, Owen said in a small voice, touching the extraction site. I hurt too, Mummy, Liam said. It's okay, say, Anita responded, opening her mouth for the two to imitate. Then she dropped a dissolvable orange-flavored painkiller under their tongues. The two smiled at her as it melted in their mouths. Can we have our ice cream now, Mummy? Liam asked. Aria's aunt chuckled as she lifted him. Yes, honey, you can have anything you want, Aria replied. Me too, Owen interjected. Yes, my darling, you too, Aria replied. Let's go clean you up first, though, then you can have whatever you want, Aria's aunt promised. The four were barely at the bathroom door when the sound of someone passing through the decontamination chamber caught their attention. Aria looked in that direction and saw Andrew signaling to her with an urgency that made her heart skip a beat. Oh no, Aria heard Anita mutter as she rushed towards the atrium exit. Andrew, upon seeing she was coming, turned back so she could get out. Aria rushed through the chamber and towards the mobile radiation therapy unit. Tell me, she urged as she ran side by side with Andrew. They're trying to resuscitate him, Andrew replied, the fear in his voice palpable. The words resuscitate him almost made her heart stop. Upon getting to the unit, she rushed in and heard a deafening silence that was almost her undoing. Time of death, Dr. Williams started to say. Aria screamed an agonizing sound that made the older man swallow hard. No, no, she heard Andrew muttering in utter anguish. Aria rushed to Nathaniel's side, where he lay lifeless on the bed. The beeping sound indicating his heart had stopped was like a knife piercing through her heart repeatedly. Aria pushed the doctor by his side away, picked up the electrode pads and pressed them against his chest. Dr. Everly Hawthorne, please, he's gone, Dr. Williams said in a grieving tone.